The rain hammered down in freezing sheets, making the city streets look like dark mirrors catching the yellow glow from above. Maya Carter tugged her old blue jacket closer as she pushed through the heavy glass doors of Henderson Tower, her cleaning cart making noise behind her. 11:30 at night, and her whole body hurt from washing floors on the 15th floor of the office building, but she couldn't think about feeling tired. Not when 7-year-old Tyler was waiting in her beat-up Honda Civic in the parking garage, working on his homework by the inside light like he did 3 nights every week. She rushed across the wet ground, her sneakers hitting puddles. The parking garage was just 2 blocks down. 2 blocks and she could get Tyler home, feed him the sandwich she'd made earlier, and maybe, if things worked out, grab 6 hours of sleep before her morning shift at the restaurant kicked in. That's when she spotted him. A man lay collapsed on the sidewalk up ahead, his body bent at a wrong angle. His white shirt wasn't white anymore. It was dark, covered with something that couldn't be just rainwater. His police badge caught the streetlight, shining weakly. His radio made static sounds and distant voices, but he wasn't responding. His eyes were shut, his face white as paper. Blood gathered under him, mixing with the rain, spreading out in thin red rivers that moved toward the gutter. Maya's first thought was to run past him, get to Tyler, get home, act like she never saw this. She had a son to worry about, a son who needed her. She couldn't get mixed up in something like this. What if whoever did this was still close by? What if they came after her, too? She was just a cleaning woman, just a single mom trying to make it. But her feet stopped moving. The man's chest lifted slightly, then dropped. He was breathing barely. His hand moved, fingers grabbing for nothing. His lips shifted, making words that had no sound. Maya looked around. The street was empty. No cars, no people, just rain and darkness and this dying man at her feet. She grabbed her phone with shaking hands and called 911. "There's a police officer," she said, her voice breaking. "He's bleeding. He's on the corner of 5th and Madison. Please come quick." The dispatcher's calm voice asked her things. Was he awake? Was he breathing? Could she see where the blood was coming from? Maya dropped beside him, her knees hitting the wet concrete. The cold rain soaked through her jeans right away. She pushed her hand against the wound in his side, feeling the warm blood move against her palm. He made a sound, his eyes opening for just a second. "Stay with me," Maya whispered. "Help is coming. Just stay with me." His eyes found hers. Blue eyes filled with pain and fear and something else, maybe like he couldn't believe why a stranger was kneeling in the rain beside him, holding pressure on a wound that was taking his life. His hand moved slowly, weakly, and found hers. His fingers were cold, so cold. "You're going to be okay," Maya said, though she didn't know if it was true. "I'm not leaving. I'm right here." The dispatcher told her the ambulance was 3 minutes away. 3 minutes felt like forever. Maya kept talking to him, kept her hand pressed hard against his side, kept watching his chest go up and down. Each breath seemed harder than the one before. His grip on her hand got weaker. "My son," Maya said suddenly desperately. "He's 7. His name is Tyler. And you? You have people waiting for you too, right? So you have to hold on. You have to fight." Sirens screamed in the distance, getting closer. Red and blue lights colored the wet street. The ambulance stopped hard and paramedics jumped out with their gear. They moved fast, taking over, checking vital signs, putting him onto a stretcher. One of them, a woman with kind eyes, looked at Maya. "You saved his life," she said. "If you hadn't stayed with him, applied pressure, he would have bled out before we got here." Maya stood slowly, her legs shaky. Her hands were covered in blood. Her blue jacket was destroyed. She watched them load the officer into the ambulance, watched them work on him with trained speed. She should go, she should get to Tyler, but her feet wouldn't move. "Which hospital?" she heard herself ask. "St. Mary's," the paramedic said, already climbing into the ambulance. "Is he going to make it?" The paramedic paused. "I don't know, but you gave him a chance." The ambulance doors shut, and then they were gone. Sirens screaming through the night. Maya stood alone on the sidewalk, rain washing the blood from her hands. Her heart pounded, her whole body shook. She had just held a dying man's life in her hands, a complete stranger. And something about those blue eyes, that cold hand holding hers, had changed something inside her. She couldn't explain it. She just knew she needed to make sure he survived. She ran the 2 blocks to the parking garage, her mind racing. Tyler looked up from his math workbook when she pulled open the car door, his brown eyes going wide. "Mama, what happened? You're all wet." "Baby, we need to go to the hospital," Maya said, starting the engine. "I'll explain on the way." As she drove through the rain-slick streets toward Street Mary's, she told Tyler about the officer, about how he was hurt and needed help, about how sometimes, even when you're scared and tired and you have your own problems, you have to help people because that's what good people do. That's what she wanted Tyler to learn. That kindness mattered, that hope mattered. That love for your fellow human beings always mattered, even when it was hard. Tyler listened quietly, then reached over and squeezed her hand. "You did the right thing, Mama." Maya's eyes burned with tears. She didn't have time to cry. She hoped she had. She hoped that officer was still fighting. She hoped her decision to stop, to stay, to care would mean something. If a stranger was dying right in front of you, would you risk everything to save them? Even when you have your own child waiting, what would you do? Drop your answer in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to Heartfelt Tales to see what happens to Maya and the officer she saved. Will he survive? Will her kindness cost her everything or change her life forever? Hit that subscribe button now. Street Mary's hospital was bright and clean, a complete opposite to the dark, rainy streets outside. Maya held Tyler's hand as they walked through the automatic doors, her shoes making noise on the smooth white floor. The emergency room was busy even at this late hour. A nurse at the front desk looked up, her expression neutral and professional. "I need to know about the police officer who just came in," Maya said, her voice stronger than she felt. "David Parker, is he okay?" The nurse's eyes narrowed slightly. "Are you family?" "No, but I'm the one who found him. I stayed with him until the ambulance came." The nurse's expression softened. "Have a seat. Someone will update you when they can." Maya led Tyler to the plastic chairs in the waiting area. The bright lights hummed overhead. A television in the corner played the news on mute. Other people sat scattered around the room, all wearing the same tired, worried expressions. Waiting was torture. Not knowing was worse. Tyler leaned against her shoulder, his math workbook forgotten in his backpack. "Is the officer going to die, Mama?" "I hope not, baby. I really hope not." Time crawled. Maya watched the clock on the wall. Midnight came and went. 12:31. Her phone buzzed with a text from her manager at the restaurant asking if she could cover the early shift. She texted back that she couldn't, that she had a family emergency. It wasn't exactly a lie. This felt like an emergency, even if the man wasn't her family. He was someone's family, someone's son, maybe someone's husband or father or brother. At 1:45, the emergency room doors burst open and two people rushed in. A man in a nice grey suit and a woman in a red dress, both of them looking frantic. The man went straight to the nurse's desk. "David Parker," he said, his voice loud and commanding. "Our son, he's a police officer. He was brought here." "Mr. and Mrs. Parker," the nurse said, standing immediately. "Your son is in surgery. The doctor will be out to speak with you as soon as possible. Please have a seat." The couple turned toward the waiting area, and the woman's eyes were already red from crying. They sat down across from Maya, holding hands tightly. The man's jaw was tight. The woman kept touching her face like she couldn't quite believe this was happening. Maya felt like she was intruding on something private. She should leave, let his parents be here for him. But she couldn't make herself stand up. She needed to know he was okay. She needed to know her decision to stop hadn't been for nothing. A doctor in green scrubs came through the doors an hour later. "Parker family." The couple jumped to their feet. "How is he? Is our son alive?" The doctor's face was tired but calm. "He's stable. The surgery went well. He lost a lot of blood and the injury was serious. But he's young and strong. He's going to need time to recover, but he should make a full recovery." Mrs. Parker sobbed and fell into her husband's arms. Mr. Parker closed his eyes, his whole body relaxing with relief. "Thank God, thank God. Can we see him?" Mrs. Parker asked. "He's in recovery now. Give us another hour and you can sit with him." As the doctor walked away, Mr. Parker noticed Maya for the first time. "Are you here for David?" Maya stood slowly, suddenly feeling very out of place. "I'm the one who found him. I just wanted to make sure he was okay." Mrs. Parker turned, her eyes widening. "You found him? You saved him. I just called 911 and stayed with him," Maya said quietly. "Anyone would have done the same." "No," Mr. Parker said firmly. "Not everyone would have. Most people would have kept walking. You stayed. You helped him when he needed it most." He walked over to Maya and held out his hand. She shook it, feeling the strength in his grip, seeing the gratitude in his eyes. "I'm Thomas Parker. This is my wife, Linda. We owe you our son's life." "I'm Maya Carter. This is my son, Tyler." Linda came over and took both of Maya's hands in hers. "Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't know how to. I can't even find the words. I'm just glad he's going to be okay," Maya said, and meant it with everything in her. "Please sit with us," Linda said. "Wait with us until we can see him. I need to know more about what happened." Maya sat back down, Tyler curling up beside her. She told them everything, finding David on the sidewalk, the blood, the ambulance, how he gripped her hand, how she promised she wouldn't leave. Linda cried through the whole story, and Thomas's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "You have a good heart," Thomas said when she finished. "In this city, with everything people face, you could have walked away. You had your own child to think about, but you stopped. You helped." "That's what my mama always does," Tyler said sleepily. "She helps people." Linda smiled through her tears. "You're raising a good boy." They waited together, talking quietly. Maya learned that David was 28 years old, had been a police officer for 5 years, and was their only child. He lived alone in an apartment downtown, loved his job, and coached youth basketball on weekends. He was a good man, they said, a kind man. The kind of man who became a police officer because he wanted to help people. When the nurse finally said they could see David, Thomas turned to Maya. "Please come with us. He should know who saved him." Maya hesitated. "I don't want to intrude." "You're not intruding," Linda said firmly. "You're part of this now, please." Maya woke Tyler gently and followed the Parkers down a long white hallway to a recovery room. David lay in a hospital bed, his skin still pale, but no longer deathly white. Tubes and wires connected him to various machines. His eyes were closed, but his chest rose and fell steadily. Linda went to his side immediately, taking his hand and kissing his forehead. "My baby," she whispered. "My sweet boy." Thomas stood at the foot of the bed, his hand on David's leg, just needing to touch him to know he was real and alive. Maya stayed near the door with Tyler, feeling like she was seeing something too personal, too sacred. But then David's eyes opened slowly. He looked confused at first, trying to focus. His gaze moved from his mother to his father, and then somehow across the room to Maya. His eyes widened slightly, and something like recognition crossed his face. "You," he said, his voice rough and weak. "You were there on the sidewalk." Maya nodded, her throat tight. "I'm glad you're okay." "You saved me," David said. "I remember your voice. You told me to hold on. You told me about your son." "This is Tyler," Maya said softly. "And I'm Maya." "Thank you, Maya," David said, and even though he could barely speak, the gratitude in his voice was overwhelming. "Thank you for stopping. Thank you for staying." "I couldn't leave you," Maya said simply. "I just couldn't." Thomas came over to Maya, and this time his eyes were full of determination, not just gratitude. "Maya, my son is alive because of you. Please let us help you in return. Whatever you need, anything at all." Maya started to protest, to say she didn't need anything, but Linda cut her off gently. "Please, it would mean so much to us. You missed work to be here. Let us at least cover what you lost tonight." Maya thought about saying no, about being proud and independent like she always was. But then she looked at Tyler, sleepy and leaning against her, and she thought about her empty bank account and the bills piling up, and the fact that she really couldn't afford to miss even one shift at the restaurant. "Okay," she said quietly. "Thank you. That would help a lot." Thomas pulled out his wallet and handed her $500 bills for tonight. "And if you need anything else, anything at all, you tell us." Maya took the money with shaking hands, tears filling her eyes. "Thank you. This is so kind." "It's nothing compared to what you did," Linda said. "You gave us our son back." As Maya left the hospital that night, Tyler asleep in her arms and the money safe in her pocket, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope, real genuine hope that maybe kindness really did matter. That maybe helping people, even when it was scary and hard, led to something good. She didn't know it yet, but her life was about to change in ways she couldn't imagine. All because she'd stopped on a rainy sidewalk and refused to leave a stranger to die alone. 3 days later, Maya stood outside David's hospital room, a container of homemade soup in her hands. She felt awkward being here, like maybe she was overstepping. But Linda had called her that morning, asking if she could visit, saying that David kept asking about her. So here she was in her cleanest jeans and a green sweater, hoping she wasn't making a mistake. She knocked softly on the doorframe. David was sitting up in bed looking much better than he had 3 nights ago. His color was back, and though he still had tubes in his arms, he was awake and alert. He smiled when he saw her, a genuine smile that reached his eyes. "Maya," he said, "you came. Your mum said you wanted to see me. I brought soup, chicken and rice. It's nothing fancy, but it's good when you're not feeling well." "You made me soup." David looked genuinely touched. "You didn't have to do that." "I wanted to," Maya said, setting the container on the table beside his bed. "How are you feeling?" "Better. Sore, but better. The doctors say I can go home in a few days if everything keeps healing right." He gestured to the chair beside his bed. "Please sit. Stay for a bit." Maya sat, folding her hands in her lap. "I'm glad you're okay. I was really worried." "I owe you my life," David said. "Seriously, the paramedics told me I wouldn't have made it if someone hadn't found me when you did. If someone hadn't stopped the bleeding, that was you. I just did what anyone would do." "No," David said firmly. "Most people wouldn't have. They would have been too scared, too worried about their own safety. But you stopped. Even though you had Tyler waiting for you, even though you were probably terrified, you stopped, and you saved me." Maya felt her cheeks warm. "I couldn't just leave you there." "That says everything about who you are," David said softly. "My parents told me you waited at the hospital for hours, that you stayed even when you didn't have to. Why?" Maya thought about how to answer that. "I guess I needed to know you'd be okay. That stopping was worth it, that I'd made the right choice." "You did," David said. "You absolutely did." They talked for an hour. Maya told him about Tyler, about her 2 jobs, about how hard it was sometimes, but how she wouldn't trade being a mom for anything. David told her about being a cop, about how much he loved helping people, but how dangerous it could be. He told her about the night he was attacked, how someone had come out of nowhere, how he'd fought back but not fast enough, how he thought he was going to die alone on that sidewalk. "Then I heard your voice," he said, "and I knew I had to hold on. I knew someone was there, someone cared, and I couldn't give up." When Maya finally stood to leave, David reached for her hand. "My parents want to do something for you, something bigger than just covering one night's lost wages. Please let them. It would mean the world to them, to me." "They already helped me," Maya protested. "The money they gave me paid my rent this month. That was huge." "They want to help more," David insisted. "They want to help with Tyler, with childcare, with whatever you need. Please, Maya, don't say no because of pride. Say yes because you deserve help, because Tyler deserves better, because what you did for me, for my family, it's worth so much more than money. But money is something we can give." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. She thought about Tyler sitting in the car while she worked late shifts, about the bills she juggled every month, about the future she wanted to give him but couldn't afford, about how tired she was all the time from working herself to the bone just to survive. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay. I'll accept their help. With gratitude." David's smile was radiant. "Good. That's so good." 2 days later, Maya met with Thomas and Linda at a coffee shop near the hospital. They sat in a quiet corner, cups of coffee steaming between them, and Thomas pulled out a folder. "We've been thinking about how to help you in a meaningful way," he said. "Not just a one-time payment, but something that could change your life, make things easier for you and Tyler." "You've already been so kind," Maya said. "Please listen," Linda said gently. "We own a hotel chain, Parker Hotels, 15 locations across the state. We need good people, hard-working people, people with heart. We'd like to offer you a position as a guest services coordinator at our downtown location. Better hours, better pay, benefits, and a future." Maya's hands shook as she held her coffee cup. "You're offering me a job." "A career," Thomas corrected, "with room to grow, to move up, to build something real." "I don't have experience in hotels," Maya said, her voice uncertain. "I've only done cleaning and waitressing." "You have something more valuable than experience," Linda said. "You have compassion. You have integrity. You have a work ethic that's obvious to anyone who knows your story. We can teach you the rest." "The position pays $60,000 a year," Thomas added, "with health insurance, dental vision, and a retirement plan. You'd work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, weekends off to spend with Tyler." Maya's vision blurred with tears. $60,000. That was more than she made in 2 years at her current jobs combined. Health insurance meant she could take Tyler to the doctor when he was sick, instead of hoping it would pass. Weekends off meant she could actually be a mom, not just a tired person who existed in the same house as her son. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "Say yes," Linda said, reaching across the table to take Maya's hand. "Say yes, and let us help you the way you helped our son." "Yes," Maya said, tears streaming down her face now. "Yes, thank you. Thank you so much." Linda came around the table and hugged her tightly. "You're going to do wonderful things, Maya. I can feel it." Over the next week, as David continued to recover in the hospital, Maya visited him every day after her last shift at the restaurant. She'd given her 2 weeks' notice at both jobs, and though her managers were sad to lose her, they were happy she'd found something better. Tyler came with her to the hospital sometimes, and David always lit up when he saw the boy. "Hey, little man," David would say, and Tyler would climb up on the chair beside the bed and tell David all about his day at school, about the painting he was working on in art class, about his friend Marcus's upcoming birthday party. "I got an A on my spelling test," Tyler announced one afternoon, proudly showing David the paper with the big red A at the top. "That's amazing," David said, giving him a high five. "You must have studied really hard." "Mama helped me," Tyler said. "She always helps me." David's eyes found Maya's across the room, and something passed between them, understanding, maybe respect, a connection that was growing stronger every day. On David's last day in the hospital, before he was discharged to go home and finish recovering, Maya brought him a card that Tyler had made. It was construction paper folded in half with a crayon drawing of a police officer with a big smile on the front. Inside, in Tyler's careful 7-year-old handwriting, it said, "Thank you for being brave. Get better soon. Your friend, Tyler." David's eyes got misty as he read it. "This is the best thing anyone's ever given me." "He really likes you," Maya said softly. "He talks about you all the time." "I really like him too," David said. "And his mom." Their eyes met, and Maya felt her heart skip. There was something in the way David looked at her, something warm and real and deeper than gratitude, but she pushed the thought away. He was just being nice, just being grateful, nothing more. "I start my new job on Monday," she said, changing the subject. "I'm nervous." "You're going to be great," David assured her. "And I'll come visit you at work once I'm cleared to move around more. Moral support." "You don't have to do that." "I want to," David said simply. "You've become important to me, Maya. You and Tyler both. I want to be part of your lives if you'll let me." Maya's throat tightened. "We'd like that." As she left the hospital that night, Tyler's hand in hers, Maya felt like she was walking into a new chapter of her life. A better chapter, one filled with hope and possibility and maybe, just maybe, something that felt like the beginning of love. But she wouldn't let herself think that far ahead. Not yet. For now, she was just grateful. Grateful that she'd stopped on that rainy sidewalk. Grateful that David was alive. Grateful that kindness had led somewhere good, just like she'd always believed it would. Monday morning arrived bright and clear, and Maya stood in front of Parker Hotel's downtown location, wearing a navy blue dress she bought at a thrift store and her best pair of shoes. Her hands trembled as she pushed through the glass revolving doors into a lobby that looked like something from a magazine. Beautiful floors gleamed under crystal chandeliers. Fresh flowers sat in tall vases on every surface. Well-dressed guests moved through the space with purpose and ease. A woman in a red blazer approached her with a warm smile. "You must be Maya Carter. I'm Sandra Foster, the hotel manager. Welcome to the team." Sandra showed her around, introducing her to the other guest services coordinators, the front desk staff, the concierge team. Everyone was kind and welcoming, but Maya still felt like an imposter. Like at any moment, someone would realize she didn't belong here and send her back to scrubbing floors. But as the days passed, she found her rhythm. Her job was to make sure guests had everything they needed to solve problems before they became complaints, to create experiences that made people want to come back. It turned out that years of waitressing and cleaning had taught her exactly how to read people, how to anticipate needs, how to make someone feel valued and cared for. By the end of her first week, Sandra pulled her aside. "You're a natural at this. The guests love you. You have an instinct for hospitality that can't be taught." Maya glowed with the praise. For the first time in years, she felt like she was good at something beyond just surviving. On Friday afternoon, as she was helping an elderly couple plan their anniversary dinner, she heard a familiar voice behind her. "Excuse me, I'm looking for the best guest services coordinator in the building." She turned to find David leaning against the beautiful desk, a crooked grin on his face. He was out of the hospital, dressed in jeans and a blue button-up shirt, still moving carefully, but looking so much healthier than the last time she'd seen him. "David," she said, her face breaking into a smile. "What are you doing here?" "Moral support like I promised. Plus, I wanted to see you in action." The elderly couple beside them looked between Maya and David with knowing smiles. "Is this your boyfriend, dear?" the woman asked. "No, no," Maya said quickly, feeling her cheeks heat. "Just a friend." "A very good friend," David added, his eyes twinkling. After Maya finished helping the couple, she took her break and sat with David in the hotel's coffee shop. He bought them both lattes and a cookie for Tyler, who would be getting out of school in an hour. "You look good," Maya said. "Really good. I feel good. Doctor cleared me for light duty next week. I'll be back at work soon, just desk stuff for a while." "I'm glad. I know you miss it." "I do, but I've kind of enjoyed the break, given me time to think about things, about what matters." He paused, stirring his coffee, even though he hadn't added anything to it. "I've been thinking about you a lot, actually." Maya's heart did that skip thing again. "Yeah? Yeah. About how different my life would be right now if you hadn't stopped that night. I'd be dead, Maya. Dead on a sidewalk in the rain. But instead, I'm here drinking coffee with you, planning to meet Tyler after school. It's like I got a second chance at life, and I don't want to waste it." "You're not wasting it," Maya said softly. "You're a good person, David. You were before I found you, and you still are." "I want to be better," he said. "I want to be the kind of person who makes a real difference, like you do." They talked until Maya's break ended, and David promised to come back later that week. He kept his promise. He came by the hotel 3 times that week, always with some excuse. He needed to ask about booking a room for a colleague. He was meeting someone for lunch in the hotel restaurant. He wanted to check out the gym facilities. But really, Maya knew he just wanted to see her. Tyler adored David. The 3 of them started spending time together outside of work and hospital visits. David would pick them up on Saturday mornings and take them to the park, where he and Tyler would play catch while Maya sat on a bench and watched, her heart feeling fuller than it had in years. David never made her feel like a charity case. He never acted like he was doing them a favor. He just seemed genuinely happy to be with them. One Saturday, after they'd gotten ice cream and were walking back to Maya's apartment, Tyler ran ahead to look at a dog, and David fell into step beside Maya. "My parents want to meet Tyler," he said. "Actually, they want to do more than meet him. They want to help him." Maya's steps slowed. "Help him? How?" "They want to pay for him to go to Riverside Academy. It's a private school, one of the best in the city. Small classes, great teachers, programs for arts and sports, and everything a kid could want." Maya stopped walking altogether. "David, that's too much. Private school is expensive. I can't accept that." "Why not?" David asked, turning to face her. "You accepted the job. You accepted help with other things. Why not this?" "Because a job is something I can earn. This is just, it's too big." "Maya, look at me." David's voice was gentle but firm. "My parents almost lost their son. You gave him back to them. There is nothing they could give you that would be too much. And more than that, they like you. They like Tyler. They want to be part of your lives. This isn't about paying a debt. This is about family helping family." "We're not family," Maya whispered, but even as she said it, she wasn't sure it was true anymore. "We could be," David said, and something in his tone made her look up sharply. "If you wanted, we could be." Before Maya could respond, Tyler came running back, full of excitement about the dog. The moment passed, but it hung in the air between them, full of possibility and promise. That night, after Tyler was asleep, Maya called Linda Parker. Her hands shook as she dialed, but she knew what she had to do. "Linda, it's Maya Carter." "Maya, how wonderful to hear from you. How was your first week at the hotel?" "It was good, really good. Thank you again for everything." Maya took a deep breath. "David told me about your offer, about Riverside Academy. Oh, I hope he didn't upset you. We don't want to overstep." "You're not," Maya said, tears filling her eyes. "You're not overstepping at all. I want to say yes. I want to accept your help for Tyler. He deserves the best education possible, and I can't give him that on my own. So yes, with all my gratitude, yes." Linda's voice trembled with emotion. Thank you for letting us do this, for letting us be part of his life. Thank you for wanting to be, Maya said. After she hung up, she sat in her small living room and cried. Not sad tears, but overwhelmed, grateful, hopeful tears. 6 weeks ago, she'd been barely surviving, working herself to exhaustion just to keep a roof over their heads. Now, she had a real job with benefits and a future. Tyler was going to one of the best schools in the city, and David, sweet, kind, handsome David, was becoming more than a friend. He was becoming something she was afraid to name because naming it might make it disappear. But as she wiped her tears and checked on Tyler one more time before bed, she let herself believe that maybe, just maybe, good things really did happen to people who tried to do good in the world. Maybe kindness really did lead to love. Maybe her life was finally becoming the story she'd always hoped it would be. The next 2 months passed in a blur of changes and new routines. Tyler started at Riverside Academy, and the difference was immediate. He came home every day bursting with stories about his art class, his science experiments, his new friends. He had homework that actually challenged him, teachers who knew his name and cared about his progress, and opportunities Maya had only dreamed of giving him. Maya thrived at Parker Hotels. Sandra promoted her to Senior Guest Services Coordinator after just 6 weeks, impressed by her work ethic and natural ability to connect with people. The pay increase meant Maya could finally build a savings account, something she'd never had before. She could buy Tyler new clothes instead of thrift store finds. She could take him to the movies without worrying about how she'd pay for groceries that week. But the best change was David. He was around constantly, and Maya had stopped pretending it was coincidental. He came to the hotel for lunch every week, always sitting at the restaurant table where he could see her working in the lobby. He picked up Tyler from school on Maya's late days, taking him for pizza or to the park until she got off work. He spent every Saturday with them, and most Sundays too, becoming as much a part of their routine as breakfast and bedtime stories. Thomas and Linda embraced them completely. Sunday dinners at the Parker house became a tradition. The first time Linda invited them, Maya had been nervous, worried about not fitting into their world of wealth and privilege. But Linda had hugged her at the door and said, "You're family now." And somehow that made it true. Those Sunday dinners were loud and warm, filled with laughter and stories. Linda taught Tyler how to make her famous brownies. Thomas challenged him to chess games and let him win just enough to keep him interested. David would sit beside Maya at the table, their shoulders touching, passing dishes back and forth with an ease that felt domestic and right. One evening after dinner, as they all sat in the Parkers' living room, Tyler curled up between Maya and David on the couch. Thomas cleared his throat. "Maya, we've been talking, Linda and I, and we'd like to offer you something else." Maya tensed slightly. "You've already done so much. We'd like to set up a college fund for Tyler," Thomas said, "so that when the time comes, he can go anywhere he wants, study anything he dreams of without financial burden." Maya's eyes filled with tears. I don't even know how to respond to that." "Say yes," Linda said gently. "Let us do this. Let us invest in his future." Maya looked down at Tyler, who had fallen asleep against David's shoulder, his face peaceful and content. She thought about all the nights she'd stayed awake worrying about how she'd ever afford college, how she'd give him the opportunities he deserved. And now, because she'd stopped on a rainy sidewalk and helped a stranger, her son's entire future was secure. "Yes," she whispered. "Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you." David's hand found hers and squeezed gently. She squeezed back, holding on like he was an anchor in a sea of overwhelming gratitude and emotion. Later that night, as David drove them home, Tyler asleep in the back seat, he glanced over at Maya. "You okay? You've been quiet." "I'm just thinking about how much everything has changed," Maya said. 3 months ago, I was working 2 jobs and barely making rent. Now Tyler's in private school with a college fund. I have a career I love and I have people who care about us." "You have me," David said softly. "You definitely have me." Maya's heart raced. "Maya, I know this is probably too soon," he continued, keeping his eyes on the road. "I know we haven't really talked about what this is between us, but Maya, you and Tyler, you've become the best part of my life. Spending time with you isn't an obligation or a way to repay a debt. It's what I want to do, where I want to be." "I feel the same way," Maya admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've been afraid to say it, afraid to believe it's real." "It's real," David said, finally looking at her as he stopped at a red light. "This is the most real thing I've ever felt. They sat in charged silence for a moment, the weight of unspoken feelings hanging between them. Then David reached over and took her hand, threading his fingers through hers. "I'm not asking for anything to change right now," he said. "I just wanted you to know. I'm here. I'm all in, whenever you're ready." Maya's eyes burned with happy tears. "Okay," she said. "Okay." At work the next day, Maya floated through her tasks with a smile that wouldn't fade. Sandra noticed immediately. "You look different today," she said. "Good different, happy different." "I am happy," Maya admitted. "Really, genuinely happy." "It's David, isn't it?" Sandra asked with a knowing smile. "The officer who comes by here all the time pretending he needs hotel information." Maya laughed. "Is it that obvious?" "Honey, the man looks at you like you hung the moon, and you look at him the same way. It's actually kind of beautiful." That afternoon, David showed up during Maya's break, as he often did. But this time, instead of coffee in the cafe, he asked if she wanted to take a walk. They strolled through the nearby park, the spring air warm and fresh, flowers blooming in the beds along the path. "I got cleared for full duty," David said. "Back on patrol next week." Maya's smile faltered slightly. "That's good. I know you've been anxious to get back." "I have, but I'm also nervous. After what happened, going back to the streets, it's different now." "You'll be careful," Maya said firmly. "You have to be careful." "I will," he promised. "Because I have reasons to come home now. Real reasons." He stopped walking and turned to face her, taking both her hands in his. "Maya, I need to tell you something. I've been holding back because I didn't want to rush you or pressure you, but I can't keep it in anymore." Maya's breath caught. "Okay, I'm falling in love with you," David said, his blue eyes intense and honest. "I might already be there, actually. I love how strong you are, how kind, how much you love your son. I love spending time with you. I love the sound of your laugh. I love that you see the best in people, even when they don't deserve it. I love you, Maya Carter, and I needed you to know." Tears streamed down Maya's face. "I love you too," she said, the words feeling both terrifying and freeing. "I've been so scared to feel this way. Scared it couldn't be real, but it is. I love you, David." He pulled her close, wrapping his arms around her, and she buried her face in his chest, feeling his heartbeat strong and steady against her cheek. They stood like that for a long moment, holding each other, letting the truth of their feelings settle over them. "So what now?" Maya asked, looking up at him. "Now we stop pretending we're just friends," David said with a smile. "Now I get to take you on actual dates and hold your hand in public and tell everyone that you're my girlfriend." Maya laughed through her tears. "Your girlfriend? I haven't been someone's girlfriend since high school." "Well, you're mine now," David said. "If that's okay with you." "That's more than okay," Maya said. "That's perfect." As they walked back to the hotel hand in hand, Maya felt like she was living in a dream. A good dream, the kind she'd stopped letting herself believe in years ago. But it was real. David was real. This love growing between them was real. And for the first time in longer than she could remember, she let herself believe that happy endings weren't just for other people. Maybe they were for her, too. What would you do if you found real love in the most unexpected place? Would you be brave enough to accept it, or would fear hold you back? Share your thoughts in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed to Heartfelt Tales because this love story is just getting started. You won't want to miss what happens next. Spring turned to summer, and Maya's life continued to blossom in ways she'd never imagined. Dating David was easy and natural, like it was something she'd been doing forever. He never pressured her, never rushed her, just let their relationship unfold at its own pace. They went to movies and dinner, took Tyler to the zoo and the science museum, spent quiet evenings at her apartment watching Tyler's favorite shows and eating takeout. The first time David kissed her, really kissed her, was on her tiny apartment balcony after Tyler had gone to bed. They'd been sitting in the warm evening air talking about everything and nothing, and then David had cupped her face in his hands and kissed her so gently, so sweetly that Maya had felt it all the way to her soul. "I've been wanting to do that for weeks," he'd whispered against her lips. "You should have done it sooner," she'd whispered back, making him laugh. David's return to full patrol duty had been hard for Maya. Every night he worked, she found herself checking her phone constantly, waiting for a text that said he was safe, that his shift was over, that he was coming home. The fear never fully went away, but David was patient with it, understanding it, calling her whenever he could, just to say he was okay. His fellow officers were curious about the woman who'd saved his life. David brought Maya and Tyler to a police department barbecue in July, and she met the men and women he worked with every day. They treated her like a hero, thanking her over and over for saving their brother in blue. It was overwhelming and humbling, and made her love David even more, seeing how much his colleagues cared about him. "So you're the famous Maya," a female officer named Jennifer said, shaking her hand warmly. "David talks about you constantly. It's actually kind of annoying how happy he is." Maya laughed. "I hope that's a good thing." "It's the best thing," Jennifer assured her. "We've never seen him like this. You're good for him." As summer progressed, the Parker family's acceptance of Maya and Tyler deepened even further. Thomas offered Maya a promotion to assistant hotel manager at a different Parker Hotel's location, one closer to Tyler's school and with even better pay. She accepted gratefully, loving the challenge and responsibility of the new position. Linda took Maya shopping for professional clothes, insisting on buying her a whole new wardrobe suitable for management. They spent a day at the mall trying on suits and dresses, and Linda treated it like an outing with a daughter, not a favor for someone she barely knew. "You've become so important to us," Linda said as they had lunch between stores. "Not just because of what you did for David, but because of who you are. You're genuine and kind and strong. I've always wanted a daughter, and now I feel like I have one." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "You've all been more like family to me than my own family ever was." "Then we're your family now," Linda said firmly. "All of us." Tyler was thriving in ways that amazed Maya every day. His teachers at Riverside Academy praised his intelligence and creativity. He joined the school's art club and discovered a love for painting. He made friends easily, good kids from good families who invited him to birthday parties and playdates. He was happy, genuinely, completely happy, and that was worth more to Maya than anything else in the world. But the biggest sign of how much their lives had changed came one evening in late August. Maya, David, and Tyler were at the park playing on the swings as the sun set in brilliant oranges and pinks. Tyler was laughing, soaring high on the swing, calling out for them to watch him go higher. "Mama, David, look at me," he shouted. And then without thinking he yelled, "Dad, push me higher." The word hung in the air. "Dad." Tyler froze, his swing slowing, his face going red. "I'm sorry," he said quickly, looking embarrassed. "I didn't mean to. It just came out. I'm sorry." David walked over to Tyler's swing and knelt down beside him, taking his small hands. "Tyler, look at me. You have nothing to be sorry for. Nothing. You can call me whatever feels right to you. If that's David, that's perfect. If that's Dad, that's perfect too." "Really?" Tyler's eyes were wide and hopeful. "Really," David said, his voice thick with emotion. "I would be honored if you wanted to call me Dad." Tyler threw his arms around David's neck, and David held him tight, looking over the boy's shoulder at Maya with eyes that glistened with tears. Maya covered her mouth with her hand, her own tears flowing freely. After they got Tyler to bed that night, David stayed at Maya's apartment. They sat on the couch close together, processing what had happened. "Are you okay with that?" David asked. "With him calling me Dad?" "I'm more than okay with it," Maya said. "David, you've been more of a father to him in these few months than anyone has ever been. You love him. He loves you. Why wouldn't I be okay with it? I just don't want to overstep. He has a biological father somewhere, who's never been in his life," Maya said firmly. "Who didn't want to be. You've chosen to be here, chosen to love him, chosen to be part of his life. That makes you his father in every way that matters." David pulled her close, kissing the top of her head. "I love him, Maya. Like he's my own son. I know it's fast. I know we've only been together a few months, but I can't imagine my life without either of you in it anymore." "Me neither," Maya whispered. "This is my family now, you and Tyler and your parents. This is where I belong." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, just holding each other, feeling the weight and wonder of the family they were building together. Maya thought back to that rainy night 6 months ago, to the choice she'd made to stop and help a dying stranger. She'd had no idea that choice would lead here, to love, to belonging, to a future brighter than any she dared to dream. "Thank you," David said suddenly. "For what?" "For stopping that night, for saving my life, for letting me into yours, for being you." "Thank you for being worth saving," Maya said, tilting her face up to kiss him, "and for loving us the way you do." As the summer faded into fall, Maya, David, and Tyler fell into an easy rhythm of life together. David spent more nights at Maya's apartment than at his own. They had family dinners, homework sessions, movie nights. They were building something real and lasting, something that felt like forever. And for Maya, who had spent so many years just trying to survive, just trying to give her son a decent life, this felt like a miracle. A miracle born from a simple act of kindness on a dark, rainy street. A miracle that proved what she'd always believed, that love and hope and goodness were worth fighting for, worth believing in, worth choosing even when it was hard. Because choosing kindness had led her here, to David, to this family, to this love, and she wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. October brought cooler weather and falling leaves, and with it a shift in the air between Maya and David. They'd been dating for 5 months, and while they said "I love you" regularly, while David spent most nights at her apartment, while they'd become a unit in every practical sense, they hadn't talked about the future, about what came next, about whether this was leading somewhere permanent, or if they were just enjoying the present. Maya tried not to think about it too much. She was happy. Tyler was happy. Why rock the boat by pushing for more? But late at night, when David was on patrol and she was alone in her bed, she couldn't help wondering what he wanted. If he saw a future with her, or if eventually the novelty would wear off and he'd realize she was just a single mom from a completely different world than his. Her doubts came to a head one Thursday evening in mid-October. Maya had the night off, and she planned to make a nice dinner for the 3 of them. She'd spent her afternoon off preparing David's favorite meal, pot roast with vegetables and homemade biscuits. The apartment smelled amazing, and Tyler had helped her set the table with real plates instead of the everyday ones. David arrived at 6, still in his uniform from his shift, looking tired but happy to be there. Tyler ran to hug him, and David scooped him up with a laugh. "Something smells incredible," David said, kissing Maya's cheek. "Mama made your favorite," Tyler announced. "And I helped with the biscuits." "Then I'm sure they're the best biscuits ever," David said, setting Tyler down and ruffling his hair. Dinner was perfect. They talked and laughed, and Tyler told them all about his day at school, about the painting he was working on in art class, about his friend Jason's upcoming birthday party. After dinner, Tyler went to his room to work on homework, and Maya and David cleaned up the kitchen together, moving around each other with practiced ease. But David was quiet, distracted. He kept starting to say something and then stopping, his brow furrowed like he was working through something difficult. "Is everything okay?" Maya finally asked, drying the last dish and turning to face him. David leaned against the counter, his arms crossed. "I need to talk to you about something." Maya's stomach dropped. This was it, the moment she'd been dreading. He was going to end things. Tell her this had been nice, but he needed to move on, that she and Tyler were great, but he wanted something else, someone else, a life that didn't include them. "Okay," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. David seemed to sense her fear. He reached for her hands, holding them gently. "Hey, no, don't look like that. This isn't bad. At least I hope it's not bad." "Then what is it?" David took a deep breath. "Maya, I need to tell you what I want, what I see for us. I've been holding back because I didn't want to scare you or pressure you, but I can't keep it inside anymore." Maya's heart pounded. "Okay, I want this," David said, gesturing around the apartment. "This life, these dinners, Tyler calling me dad, coming home to you every night. I want it permanently. I want us to be a real family, not just people who are dating and spending time together. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to help Tyler with his homework and take him to his art classes. I want to build a life with you." Maya stared at him, afraid to believe what she was hearing. "David, I know we come from different worlds," he continued. "I know my family has money and connections and I'm a cop and you're you. But none of that matters to me. What matters is that I love you. I love Tyler. I love the person I am when I'm with you. You make me better. You make me want to be better." "You think our worlds are too different?" Maya asked, her voice small. "That's what you're worried about?" "Aren't you worried about it?" David countered gently. "Don't you worry that eventually you'll realize I'm not good enough for you, that I'm just a cop who works long hours and comes home exhausted and doesn't have much to offer beyond how much I love you." Maya laughed, but it came out more like a sob. "David, are you serious right now? You think you're not good enough for me? I'm the one who's not good enough. I'm the one who didn't finish college, who worked as a janitor and a waitress, who lived paycheck to paycheck. You're educated and kind and brave and you have this amazing family. I'm the one who doesn't fit into your world." David pulled her close, holding her tight. "You're wrong. You fit perfectly, and you are more than enough. You're everything." Maya buried her face in his chest, breathing in the familiar scent of him, feeling his heartbeat steady and strong. "I love you so much," she whispered. "I love this life we're building. I want it to be permanent too. I want you here every day. I want us to be a real family." David pulled back just enough to look at her face, his hands cupping her cheeks. "Then let's do it. Let's make this real. Move in with me or I'll move in here. I don't care which. I just want us to be together. Really together." "Your apartment is bigger," Maya said with a watery laugh, "and closer to Tyler's school." "Then you'll move in with me?" David asked, hope bright in his eyes. "Yes," Maya said. "Yes, we'll move in with you." David kissed her then, deep and sweet and full of promise. When they finally broke apart, both of them were smiling through happy tears. "Should we tell Tyler?" David asked. "Let's tell him together." They found Tyler in his room, sprawled on his bed with his math homework. He looked up when they came in, immediately sensing something was different. "What's going on?" he asked. David sat on the edge of the bed and Maya sat beside him. "Tyler, how would you feel about moving? About living with me in my apartment?" Tyler's eyes went wide. "Really? All of us together?" "All of us together," David confirmed. "If that's okay with you." Tyler launched himself at David, wrapping his arms around his neck. "Yes, yes, that's so okay with me. We'll be a real family." "We're already a real family," Maya said, tears streaming down her face again. "But yes, we'll all live together. It'll be our home." That night, after Tyler finally fell asleep, too excited to settle down quickly, David and Maya lay together on her couch, holding each other close. "When should we move?" Maya asked. "Whenever you're ready. This weekend if you want. I can get some guys from the station to help with the heavy stuff." "This weekend sounds good." Maya paused. "David, are you sure about this? About us? About taking on a ready-made family?" "I've never been more sure of anything," David said firmly. "Maya, you and Tyler aren't a burden or an obligation. You're my joy, my future, my everything. I want this. I want you. I want him. I want all of it." "What about your parents? What will they think?" David laughed. "Are you kidding? They're going to be thrilled. My mom has been hinting about this for weeks. She loves you both." Maya relaxed into his arms, letting herself believe this was real, that this happiness was hers to keep, that she didn't have to be afraid of losing it because David was all in, just like he said. They were building something permanent, something lasting, something beautiful. "I never thought I'd have this," she admitted quietly. "A man who loves me, and my son who wants to be part of our lives, who isn't scared off by the hard parts. I didn't think that existed." "It exists," David said, kissing her forehead. "And it's ours. This is ours, Maya. This love, this family, this future. It's all ours." As Maya drifted off to sleep in David's arms that night, she thought about the journey that had brought them here. From a rainy sidewalk to this moment, from fear and uncertainty to love and belonging. She'd taken a chance that night, choosing to stop and help a stranger, and that choice had given her everything she'd ever wanted. A family, home, hope, a future brighter than any dream she'd allowed herself to have. And it was all real, all hers, all because kindness had led her here. To David, to this perfect, imperfect, beautiful life they were building together. Moving day came on a bright Saturday morning in late October. True to his word, David had recruited a group of officers from his precinct to help. Jennifer showed up with her husband and a pickup truck. Two other officers, Michael and Roberto, arrived with donuts and coffee. Even Thomas and Linda came, Linda bringing sandwiches for everyone, and Thomas ready to direct traffic and organize boxes. Maya didn't have much. After years of moving from one small apartment to another, she'd learned to keep possessions minimal. But what she did have, her small collection of books, Tyler's toys and art supplies, the few pieces of furniture she'd accumulated over the years, all of it got loaded into trucks and driven across town to David's apartment. His place was beautiful. A two-bedroom condo on the 8th floor with big windows that let in tons of natural light. There was a real living room with space for a couch and chairs, a kitchen with actual counter space, and a second bedroom that would be perfect for Tyler. David had already cleared out half his closet for Maya's clothes and made space in the bathroom for her things. "Welcome home," he said, carrying Maya over the threshold, while Tyler giggled and everyone else cheered. By late afternoon, everything was unpacked and put away. The officers had left, promising to have them over for dinner soon. Thomas and Linda stayed longer, helping arrange furniture and hanging pictures on the walls. Linda had even brought new bedding for Tyler's room, a navy blue comforter with stars on it that made him gasp with delight. "This is the best room ever," Tyler announced, flopping onto his new bed. That evening, after everyone had gone home, and it was just the three of them, they ordered pizza and sat on the living room floor, eating straight from the box, too tired to care about plates or proper seating. "This is perfect," Maya said, looking around at their new home. "This is absolutely perfect." "It is now," David said, reaching for her hand. "Now that you're both here, the next few weeks were an adjustment, learning to live together, to share space, to navigate each other's routines and habits. But it was a good adjustment." Maya loved waking up next to David every morning. She loved making breakfast for all three of them, loved the chaos of getting Tyler ready for school while David got ready for his shift, loved the normality of it all. David was a neat freak, which amused Maya to no end given her years of cleaning for a living. He did the dishes immediately after every meal, kept the bathroom spotless, and insisted on making the bed every single morning. Maya was messier, leaving books on the coffee table and shoes by the door, and David would tease her about it even as he picked up after her with a smile. Tyler loved having David around all the time. They developed their own routines. David helped him with homework every evening. They played video games together on weekends. David taught Tyler how to throw a proper football spiral and how to ride a bike without training wheels. He was patient and kind, and exactly the father figure Tyler had always needed. In early November, the Parker family hosted a big dinner to celebrate Maya and Tyler officially moving in with David. It was at Thomas and Linda's house, and the whole extended family came. David's aunts and uncles, his cousins, his grandmother. They welcomed Maya and Tyler with open arms, treating them like they'd always been part of the family. David's grandmother, Eleanor, a tiny woman with sharp eyes and an even sharper wit, pulled Maya aside during dinner. "You're good for my grandson," she said. "He's happier than I've ever seen him." "He's good for me too," Maya said. "For both of us." "I know," Eleanor said, patting her hand. "I can see it. You love each other. Really love each other. That's rare, you know, real love. Most people settle for something less, but you two, you have the real thing." "I hope so," Maya said softly. "I know so," Eleanor corrected. "I've been married for 60 years. I recognize real love when I see it." At the end of the evening, as everyone gathered in the living room, Thomas stood up and clinked his glass to get everyone's attention. "I want to make a toast," he said, "to Maya and Tyler, who have brought so much joy into our lives. Maya, 6 months ago you saved our son's life, but you did more than that. You brought him back to us with a heart full of love and a new understanding of what really matters. You've become part of this family, and we're so grateful for you." "To Maya and Tyler, to Maya and Tyler," everyone echoed, raising their glasses. Maya's eyes filled with tears. David squeezed her hand. Tyler, sitting on Linda's lap, beamed with happiness. This was family. Real, true chosen family, and it was theirs. The next week, Sandra called Maya into her office at the hotel. Maya went with some worry, concerned she'd done something wrong, but Sandra was smiling when she walked in. "Sit down, Maya. I have something to discuss with you." Maya sat, her hands folded in her lap. "You've been with us for about 7 months now," Sandra said, "and in that time, you've gone from guest services coordinator to senior coordinator to assistant manager. You're a natural leader. The staff respects you. The guests love you. And you have an instinct for this business that can't be taught." "Thank you," Maya said, unsure where this was going. "I'm being promoted," Sandra continued, "regional manager, and I recommended you to take my place as hotel manager." Maya's jaw dropped. "What?" "Sandra, I can't. I've only been here 7 months. There are people who've been here for years, and none of them have your drive or your ability," Sandra said firmly. "Mr. Parker, Thomas, he approved my recommendation personally. The job is yours if you want it. Significant pay increase, more responsibility, more opportunity to grow. What do you say?" Maya's mind raced. Hotel manager, running this entire property. It was more than she'd ever dreamed possible. Just a year ago, she'd been scrubbing floors. Now she was being offered a position that would set her up for a real career, a real future. "Yes," she said, her voice strong. "Yes, I want it." "Thank you." Sandra came around the desk and hugged her. "You've earned this, every bit of it. I'm proud of you." That night, Maya came home to find David and Tyler making dinner together in the kitchen. Well, David was making dinner while Tyler helped by eating half the ingredients. They both looked up when she walked in, and something in her face must have given away that she had news. "What happened?" David asked immediately. "I got promoted," Maya said, still processing it herself. "Hotel manager. I'm going to be running the whole property." David whooped and picked her up, spinning her around while Tyler cheered. "That's amazing. I'm so proud of you." "I can't believe it," Maya said. "A year ago I was a cleaning lady. Now I'm a hotel manager." "You were never just a cleaning lady," David said, setting her down but keeping his arms around her. "You've always been special. Now everyone else just sees it too." That night, after Tyler was asleep, Maya and David sat on their balcony looking out at the city lights. "Everything is falling into place," Maya said softly. "Sometimes it scares me how perfect everything is, like it can't possibly last." "It will last," David said, "because we'll make it last. Because we choose each other every single day. That's what makes it work." "I love you," Maya said, leaning into him. "I love this life we're building." "I love you too," David said. "And Maya, this is just the beginning. We have so much more ahead of us, so many good things coming." Maya believed him. For the first time in her life, she believed that good things could be permanent, that happiness could last, that love could be strong enough to weather anything. Because she had David, she had Tyler, she had a family and a career and a future full of possibility. All because she'd chosen kindness on a rainy night 6 months ago. All because she'd stopped to help a stranger. All because love and hope and goodness had led her here. To this perfect moment, to this beautiful life, to this family that was finally completely hers. Winter arrived, bringing cold winds and early darkness. But inside their home, everything was warm and bright. Christmas approached, and Maya threw herself into making it special for Tyler. It would be their first Christmas as a real family, living together, and she wanted it to be perfect. David seemed distracted as the holiday neared. He was working extra shifts, picking up overtime, and when he was home, he was often on his phone, texting someone, and then quickly putting the phone away when Maya walked into the room. She tried not to worry, tried not to let her old insecurities creep back in, but it was hard. One evening in mid-December, after Tyler had gone to bed, Maya finally confronted him. "Is everything okay? You've been acting strange lately." David looked caught. "Strange? How?" "Secretive, distracted. If something's wrong, I need you to tell me." David's face softened. "Nothing's wrong, I promise. I've been planning something, but I can't tell you what yet." "Planning what?" "You'll see soon," he said, kissing her forehead. "Trust me, it's a good thing." Maya tried to let it go, but the worry ate at her. Linda noticed at Sunday dinner, a week before Christmas. "What's bothering you, dear?" she asked, pulling Maya aside while David and Tyler were playing chess with Thomas in the living room. "It's probably nothing," Maya said. "David's just been acting odd lately. Secretive." Linda smiled, a knowing look in her eyes. "I wouldn't worry about that." "You know something," Maya accused gently. "I know my son," Linda said, "and I know he loves you. Whatever he's planning, it's because he loves you. Trust that." The Saturday before Christmas, David woke Maya early. "Get up. Get dressed. We're going somewhere." "Where?" Maya asked groggy. "It's a surprise. Wear something warm." An hour later, the three of them were in David's car, driving to the park where they'd spent so many Saturdays together. It was cold, the ground covered in a light dusting of snow, but the sun was shining bright and clear. "Why are we at the park?" Tyler asked as they got out of the car. "Because this is our place," David said. "This is where we became a family." He led them to their favorite spot near the swings where Tyler had first called him Dad. Linda and Thomas were already there, along with Jennifer and her husband Michael and Roberto from the precinct, Sandra from the hotel, and several other people who'd become important in their lives over the past year. "What's going on?" Maya asked, her heart starting to race. David took her hands, pulling her to face him. "Maya Carter, 1 year ago, you saved my life. You stopped on a rainy street and helped a dying stranger. You could have walked away. You should have walked away, but you didn't. You stayed. You held my hand. You promised you wouldn't leave, and you kept that promise." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "That night changed everything for me," David continued, his voice thick with emotion. Not just because you saved my physical life, but because you showed me what real goodness looks like, what real love looks like. And then you let me into your life, into Tyler's life, and I got to see that goodness and love every single day." He dropped to one knee, and Maya's breath caught. Tyler moved to stand beside David, both of them looking up at her with matching hopeful expressions. "We've been planning this together," David said, glancing at Tyler, "because we're a team and we want to make this official." David pulled out a small velvet box and opened it, revealing a beautiful diamond ring that caught the sunlight and sparkled like ice. "Maya, will you marry me? Will you let me be your husband and Tyler's father? Will you let me love you both for the rest of my life? And will you be my mom forever?" Tyler added, his voice high and excited. "Like, officially?" Maya sobbed, happiness flooding through her so intensely she could barely breathe. "Yes," she managed. "Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes." David stood and slipped the ring onto her finger, then pulled her into his arms and kissed her while everyone cheered. Tyler wrapped his arms around both of them, and they stood there, the three of them holding each other, crying and laughing and so full of joy it felt like they might burst. Linda and Thomas came forward, hugging them all, crying happy tears. "Welcome to the family officially," Linda said, holding Maya tight. "My daughter." The celebration continued in the park for another hour. People congratulated them, admired the ring, talked about wedding plans, but Maya barely heard any of it. She kept looking at the ring on her finger, at David's face, at Tyler's pure happiness, and thinking about how impossible this all seemed. A year ago, she'd been alone and struggling. Now she was engaged to a man she loved completely, with a son who was thriving, with a career she was proud of, with a family that had embraced her without reservation. It was everything she'd never dared to hope for. That evening, back at home, after Tyler had finally gone to sleep, too excited to stay awake any longer, David and Maya sat together on the couch, her hand in his, both of them staring at the ring. "When did you know?" Maya asked. "When did you know you wanted to marry me?" David thought about it. "Honestly, probably that first night in the hospital when I woke up and saw you there. You didn't have to stay. You didn't even know me. But you were there anyway. That's when I knew you were special. Everything after that just confirmed it." "I was so scared," Maya admitted. "Scared to love you. Scared to believe this could be real. Scared it would all fall apart." "Did you ever think it would lead here?" David asked. "When you stopped that night?" "No," Maya said honestly. "I just knew I couldn't leave you there to die. I couldn't walk away from someone who needed help. But I never imagined it would become this, that you would become my whole world." "You're my whole world too," David said. "You and Tyler, you're everything that matters." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, just being together, processing the magnitude of the commitment they just made. Finally, Maya spoke again. "When do you want to get married?" "As soon as possible," David said immediately. "I don't want to wait. I don't need a big fancy wedding or months of planning. I just want you to be my wife." "Spring," Maya suggested. "Maybe April. Give us time to plan something simple but nice." "April sounds perfect," David agreed. "Just family and close friends. Nothing fancy. Just us, promising to love each other forever." "Forever," Maya repeated, testing the word. It didn't scare her anymore. Forever, with David, felt like the safest, most certain thing in her life. "I have something else to tell you," David said, suddenly looking nervous. "What?" "I've been talking to a lawyer about adopting Tyler officially, legally, making him my son in every way. I wanted to ask you first if that's okay." Fresh tears spilled down Maya's cheeks. "You want to adopt him?" "More than anything," David said. "He's already my son in my heart. I want him to be my son on paper too. I want him to have my name. I want to be his father legally, not just in practice." "Yes," Maya said, throwing her arms around his neck. "Yes, please. He would love that. He already thinks of you as his dad." "Then I'll start the paperwork this week," David said. "By the time we get married, he'll officially be mine." That night, as Maya lay in bed next to her fiancé, she thought about the journey that had brought them here, every choice, every moment, every act of kindness that had led to this. She'd chosen to stop on a rainy sidewalk, chosen to stay with a stranger, chosen to accept help when it was offered, chosen to open her heart to love even when it was scary. And every single one of those choices had led her here, to this ring on her finger, to this man beside her, to this life that felt like a fairy tale, but was real, so beautifully real. She looked at the ring sparkling in the moonlight coming through the window and smiled. In 4 months, she would be Maya Parker, and Tyler would be Tyler Parker. They would be a real family, not just in their hearts, but on paper, legally bound together by love and choice and the promise of forever. It was more than she'd ever dreamed of, more than she'd thought possible, but it was hers, all hers, because kindness had led her here, because love had found her, because hope had been worth holding on to, even in the darkest times. And this was just the beginning. April arrived with warm sunshine and blooming flowers, and with it came wedding preparations. True to their word, Maya and David kept things simple. The ceremony would be at the park, their park where David had proposed. Just 50 guests, all people who truly mattered to them. Linda helped with the planning, finding a caterer and a florist and a photographer, but everything was understated and beautiful, focused on the love they were celebrating rather than impressing anyone. Maya's wedding dress was simple too, a white A-line dress with lace sleeves that Linda had helped her find. Not too expensive, not too fancy, just beautiful. Tyler would wear a small blue suit and walk her down the aisle, giving her away to David. The thought of it made Maya cry every time she imagined it. The adoption papers had come through in February. Tyler's last name was now Parker, and he'd been so proud when he got his new birth certificate and social security card with his new name on them. He'd shown everyone at school, bursting with joy at finally having a dad who wanted him, who chose him, who loved him. The Thursday before the wedding, Maya took the day off work. She and Linda went to lunch, just the two of them, at a quiet restaurant downtown. Over salads and iced tea, Linda reached across the table and took Maya's hand. "I want you to know something," Linda said. "You're not just becoming my daughter-in-law on Saturday, you're already my daughter. You have been for months, and I'm so grateful for you. For what you did for David, yes, but also for who you are, for the woman who raised that wonderful boy who works so hard, who loves so completely. I'm proud to call you my daughter," Maya cried. "Of course, you've been more of a mother to me than my own mom ever was. You and Thomas both. You've given me the family I always wanted. And you've given us the daughter we always hoped for," Linda said. "And a grandson who lights up our lives. You complete our family, Maya." On Friday evening, the night before the wedding, there was a small rehearsal dinner at Thomas and Linda's house. Everyone who would be in the wedding party was there. Jennifer, who would be Maya's maid of honor. Michael, who would be David's best man. Tyler, who would walk Maya down the aisle. Sandra, who would do a reading during the ceremony. After dinner, while everyone else was mingling in the living room, David pulled Maya aside onto the back patio. "Tomorrow," he said, his eyes bright with emotion, "tomorrow you become my wife. Tomorrow you become my husband," Maya said, smiling through happy tears that seemed to be her constant state these days. "I've been thinking about that night," David said. "The night you found me. Do you ever think about how easily it could have gone differently? How you could have walked past me, how I could have died there?" "Sometimes," Maya admitted. "It scares me when I think about it." "I think about it too," David said. "And I'm so grateful you stopped. So grateful you were the kind of person who would stop, because that choice brought me here, to you, to this life, to everything that matters." "I'm grateful too," Maya said softly. "I didn't know it that night, but stopping to help you was the best decision I ever made. It brought me you. It brought me your family. It brought me this whole new life." David cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs gently wiping away her tears. "I promise you, Maya Parker-to-be, I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret that decision. I'm going to love you and Tyler with everything I have. I'm going to be the husband you deserve, the father he deserves. I'm going to build a life with you that's so full of love and joy and hope that every day feels like a blessing." "You already do that," Maya whispered. "You already are that person." They kissed slow and sweet, full of the promise of forever. Tomorrow they would make it official. Tomorrow they would stand in front of everyone they loved and promise to choose each other every single day for the rest of their lives. And Maya couldn't wait. Saturday morning dawned clear and beautiful, the kind of perfect spring day that felt like nature itself was celebrating. Maya got ready at Linda's house, surrounded by her soon-to-be mother-in-law Jennifer and Sandra. They helped her with her dress, her hair, her makeup, all while Tyler ran in and out of the room in his little suit, too excited to sit still. At 2, they arrived at the park. White chairs were set up in rows facing an arch covered in flowers. Music played softly. Guests were already seated, all of them smiling and happy. David stood at the altar with Michael, looking devastatingly handsome in his dark grey suit, his eyes scanning the path for his first sight of his bride. Jennifer walked down the aisle first, then Sandra. Then the music changed and everyone stood. Maya took Tyler's hand, and together they started down the aisle. David's face when he saw her was everything. Pure love, pure joy, pure wonder. He wiped his eyes quickly, not even trying to hide his tears. Maya was crying too, but she was also smiling, so happy she felt like she might float away. When they reached the altar, the officiant asked, "Who gives this woman to be married?" Tyler stood up straighter. "I do. I'm giving my mom to my dad so we can all be a family forever." There wasn't a dry eye in the crowd. David reached down and hugged Tyler tightly before taking Maya's hand. Tyler went to sit with Linda and Thomas in the front row, beaming with pride. The ceremony was simple and beautiful. They exchanged traditional vows, promising to love and honor and cherish each other in good times and bad, in sickness and health, for as long as they both lived. They exchanged rings, and then the officiant pronounced them husband and wife. "You may kiss your bride," he said, and David didn't hesitate. He pulled Maya close and kissed her deeply while everyone cheered. When they broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers. "Hello, Mrs. Parker," he whispered. "Hello, Mr. Parker," she whispered back. They walked back down the aisle, hand in hand, Tyler running to join them, and the three of them walked together toward their future together, a family forever. The reception was held in a large tent nearby, with dinner and dancing and toasts. Thomas gave a speech about how grateful he was that Maya had saved his son, about how she brought so much love and light into their family. Linda cried through her entire speech, talking about how happy she was to officially have a daughter. Jennifer told funny stories about Maya at work, and Michael told embarrassing stories about David at the police station. But the best speech came from Tyler standing on a chair so everyone could see him holding a microphone that was too big for his hands. He said simply, "I'm glad my mom stopped to help David that night. Now I have a dad and my mom has a husband and we're all happy, and I think that's what happens when you're kind to people. Good things happen, so everyone should be kind." The guests erupted in applause and more than a few tears. Maya pulled Tyler into her arms and held him tight while David wrapped his arms around both of them. "You're a smart kid," David said, kissing the top of Tyler's head. "I know," Tyler said matter-of-factly, making everyone laugh. As the sun set and the lights in the tent came on, Maya and David had their first dance. They swayed together to a slow song, holding each other close, neither of them wanting to be anywhere else. "This is the happiest day of my life," Maya said. "Mine, too," David agreed. "But you know what? I think tomorrow will be just as happy and the day after that, and every day we have together, because every day with you is the best day." "You're such a romantic," Maya teased gently. "Only for you," David said, spinning her around and making her laugh. Later, after all the guests had left, and it was just the two of them, they stood in the park looking up at the stars. Their park, the place where everything had changed, where he'd proposed, where they'd gotten married. "Do you remember what you told me that night?" David asked. "When you found me?" "I told you to hold on," Maya said. "I told you about Tyler. I told you that you had people waiting for you." "You told me to fight," David said, "and I did. I fought because you were there, because you cared, because you gave me a reason to hold on." "I'm glad you fought," Maya said, leaning into him. "I'm glad you held on because all of this, it's everything I never knew I needed." "Me too," David said. "You saved my life that night, Maya, but you did more than that. You gave me a life worth living. You gave me love and family and purpose. You gave me everything." They stood in comfortable silence, just being together. Two people who'd found each other in the most unlikely way and built something beautiful from it. "Thank you," David said finally, "for stopping that night, for staying, for choosing to help a stranger. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being worth saving," Maya said, echoing the words she'd said to him so many months ago, "and for loving us the way you do." As they walked back to the car, hand in hand, husband and wife, Maya looked back at the park one last time. This was where it all began, where a choice to be kind, to help someone in need, had led to everything good in her life now. Her husband, her son, her family, her future. She'd stopped on a rainy sidewalk a year ago and saved a dying man's life. But in doing so, she'd saved her own life, too. She'd found love where she least expected it. She'd found family where there was none. She'd found hope when she'd almost stopped believing in it. And now, walking into forever with the man she loved and the son they both adored, she knew beyond any doubt that kindness always mattered. Love always won. Hope always led somewhere good. You just had to be brave enough to stop, to stay, to help, to open your heart to the possibility that maybe, just maybe, something beautiful was waiting on the other side of fear. And for Maya Parker, née Carter, something beautiful had been waiting. A whole lifetime of beauty, in fact. And it was just beginning. A year ago, Maya Carter was just trying to survive. Today, she's living proof that one moment of kindness can change everything. That stopping to help a stranger can lead to the love of a lifetime. That choosing hope and goodness, even when it's scary, always leads somewhere worth going. This is what happens when you lead with your heart, when you refuse to walk past someone in need, when you believe that every life matters, including your own. And sometimes the life you save by being kind is your own.